Yo, what's going on, pimp? It's Jason Capital here, and welcome to Sex Planting. How to make her fantasize about fucking you, planting those sexual seeds. This is going to be a badass presentation. Please have your pen, your paper, and your beautiful, gorgeous, open mind ready to go. Let's begin. Number one, there are two key understandings that you will need to comprehend before we get into the 7 sex planting techniques. First thing you need to understand is that when someone tries to tell her to think about something, she won't think about it. If you tell a girl, hey, think about me bending you over and pounding away at you right now, she won't think about it because she knows it's not her own idea. This is just how the brain is wired. However, if she thinks imagining the idea of you bending her over and pounding her into ecstasy is her idea, then she'll think about it. She'll imagine it. She'll picture it, okay? Because she feels like she's the one who came up with the thought, the idea, the mental picture. She concluded it on her own. You try and tell her to think about it, she won't. But if she feels like it came to her naturally, it came to her from the collective unconscious, it came to her from her subconscious, it just came out of her, then she'll have no problem picturing it, and she'll see it as her own. Which, of course, allows her to see it. And when we see a picture in her head, it always has a connecting emotion to it. For instance, if I tell you to think about the last time a girl was blowing you and had her lips wrapped around your dick and she was sucking it up and down, and you could hear it and you could feel how good it felt, and you could see it in her eyes that she was excited to have you in her mouth. Me putting that picture in your head right now reminds you of a certain emotion. Every picture, every movie we see in our head carries a certain emotion to it. So when you get her imagining her getting fucked really good by you, or her getting fucked by you, and what it feels like, and what it would feel like, in her mind, and she's picturing it, there's an emotion attached to it, okay? And more often than not, if she has good associations with sex, she's going to have a positive, strong, good emotion attached to that mental picture of you fucking her, okay? So she's going to picture it on her own. It's going to make her feel good, and as with girls and sugar, or girls and chocolate, or girls and shiny things, girls, and basically anything that makes them feel good, they just want more of it. So if you give her a little taste of it, of what it'd be like to get fucked by you, and she knows what it would feel like, she actually pictures it, she's going to want more of it, okay? This is why you can't achieve anything in the outer world until you pictured it inside your head in the inner world first, okay? You must thinketh before you can manifesteth, if you want to take it in some weird language like that, okay? But understand, if she won't fuck you until she imagines it. Even like I can just tell you stories where girls who maybe never thought we'd be fucking, even when you're making out right before the first time, like she has to picture it at some point before it's actually going to happen for both of you. So if you can make her picture it in just passing conversation and it feels good, and she starts thinking about it more and more because it feels good and she wants to feel good, so she keeps thinking about it, and the more she thinks about it, the better it feels, the more she thinks about it, and just keeps going and going. It'll be really good for you and your dick. So let's begin. Sex plan number 1. The New Yorker. This one is very easy. Okay, so you're talking with the girl, you're talking about anything, and at some point in the conversation, you simply state that you hate bad kissers. Okay, I'm just going to tell you how I do it. Okay, so I say I hate bad kissers, and we're going to talk about bad kissers for a second, and then I tell her the story. This is a true story where I was in New York City a couple years ago with this cheerleader from the CFL Toronto football team. She was one of like the head cheerleaders on the squad. I met her there. We spent invested like a whole hour like flirting and gaming her and having this great conversation. And I got her back to she actually took me back to her hotel room, and we started kissing. And she was like really hot and really cool and really excited. I thought she'd be great in bed, and like we started kissing, dude, and it was like terrible. It was like the worst kiss of my life. It felt like I was kissing like a white tiled wall. That's what it felt like to me. Literally. So that story right there, obviously it's it's a true story, and you can steal it or you can have your own. Maybe you have a memory of a bad kiss, or you can tell the story. But the point is, you want to describe the story as really descriptive. You want to talk about how remember we took her back to the hotel room, and like her hands were like digging into my back, and she ripped my shirt off, and she was so excited and passionate about it, and I was like really hungry for it. I felt really good about it, and when she kissed me, and it was like I stepped back, and you can picture me. I'm literally not wearing a shirt right now, and she's almost naked, and there's like all this heat and tension in the room, but I like stepped back. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst kisser ever. And I literally had to like make an excuse to get out of there. Like bust out of there. I couldn't even find my shirt. I'm shirtless. She's left in there in her panty and thongs. And it's like, holy shit. Me describing that story like that, you This is the loophole of the mind. I put the loophole of the female mind because, of course, it's a better hook when you say it's of the female mind, but our brains work similar in this area. When someone describes or something really descriptive to us in a story, we immediately go into a trance and we picture it in our brain. We have to see it. We can't help it. So when I was just describing to you that whole scenario of me and my shirt off and she's in her panty and thongs and the heat and tension in the room, you pictured it. You had to have seen it in your head. And if you're talking to a girl and you're telling her this story, then she has to picture you with your shirt off and the other girl in her panty and thongs. And what's really cool about it is when someone's telling us a story, we usually put ourselves in the story in place of the other person. So when you're talking about your shirt off and the heat and the tension and the kissing and the flirting and panty and thongs, she's probably imagining herself in that moment, or imagining her hooking up with you. And there it is, sex plant number 1. Sex plant number 2, the punisher. Okay, now this is where you simply teach her something, and as you go into teach her it, you immediately just assume the teacher-student role play. Okay, so I'll give you an example and I'll show you the line. The line, obviously, you can see is the bad girl, pay attention thing. So when I was in college, there was this drink that I created for me and all my friends called Truth Juice. So we used to, when we went out, we would just like drink normal drinks, and that was like fine or whatever, but that just got boring to me. And I was like, no, we need to step this shit up. We need to create a drink. And I created Truth Juice, and I got everyone drinking it. We would like meet up at my friend Josh's house, and before we went out, and everyone would be pounding Truth Juice. There'd be like 20 guys and 20 girls there. Great times. And if I start telling a girl about Truth Juice, she's going to want to know what's in it. Okay, that's me teaching her something. You could be teaching her anything. It doesn't really matter. This is just the example. So I'm going to teach her what's in Truth Juice. At first, I'll never just give it to her right away. I never just give it to a girl right away. So I tell her about Truth Juice, and she wants to know what's in it, and I go, I can't tell you. Yeah, I don't trust you with that recipe. It's like a really important recipe, and you make her work for it a little bit, and then I tell her. And when I go to tell her, I go, okay, fine, I'll tell you, but you need to pay close attention because this will be on the final exam. And then I start telling her what it is. But just by me saying, pay close attention because this will be on the final exam, it assumes the roles between us. Me teacher, her student, very good role play to play. There's lots of like fun ways and little lines and banter you can play with that. But at some point with me teaching her, I'll talk boring for a second, or I'll look away, or I'll pause for a second, or I'll just pretend like she's not paying attention. So I can be telling her the Truth Juice. When you put in 4 shots of vodka, and then you take L-tyrosine, you take HTP, and you take B12, and you put them in, and you got to take 3. Hey, pay attention. All right. I'll just literally be telling her like, okay, you got to take 4 shots of vodka, and then you take a certain amount of ice cubes, and then the tyrosine, the HTP, the B12, and what was the other? Hey, bad girl, pay attention. All right, you don't want to make me punish you. I don't want to have to put you in timeout. All right, so let me finish this, and then I go back to teaching her. Okay, but just that one, it's like we're in trance. I'm teaching her this thing. We have the good roles playing, and then like all of a sudden I interrupt it, and I'm like, hey, bad girl, pay attention. You don't want to make me punish you. Okay, we don't want that. All right. So anyway, so you take a tyrosine, the HCP, okay, just like that. But just you by raising your voice for a second, boom, masculinity, high status, doesn't give a fuck. Imagine what he's gonna be like when he's fucking you if he's no problem yelling at you, hey, in person. Okay, and then bad girl. Nice little role player, the teacher, the student turns around. And then, of course, you're doing the takeaway at the same time while you're blaming it on her, like she's making you want to punish her. Pay attention, all right? Pay attention. You don't want to make me punish you, all right? We do not want you to make me want to punish you, okay? Because that won't be good for either of us. So anyways, and you take it away and you go right back to the thing. But just that quick interrupt, it's like a shock to her subconscious, like, holy shit. Imagine what this guy would do when he fucked me, okay? And just like that, it's planted. Go to sex plant number 3. The fertilizer. Okay? Now, you need to understand that women want what other women want. It doesn't matter what it is. Okay? If there was a stampede of frenzied women who were all rushing to a store to purchase shit, and I mean literal shit, like human feces, like they all wanted it, and there's like special kinds of shit with like higher price tags and more commoditized shit that was like lower price, and they're all just like bull rushing each other to get to the shit, and another woman saw it, or another group of women saw it, they would want the shit too. Okay? Women want what other women want. Doesn't matter what it is. So, after using a couple of these with her, whether it's the first, the second, or any other one that we're going to get to, you can use this one, just text her regularly. Okay? Be like in constant communication, whether you guys be pinging back and forth, not long text conversations. I don't recommend that at all. But just little pinging ones, maybe send her a funny picture, she sends you funny shit. You guys can be texting every once in a while. So, it's natural when you use this one. And here's what it is. You guys are texting one day, maybe you've sent 1 or 2 text messages back, and then you'll text her the thing, and then you text her, see you at the usual meeting place in an hour, okay? See you at the usual meeting place in an hour. What this does is obviously it's a text to the wrong person, but in her mind, you've already planted some seeds. She's been thinking about fucking you. And then you give her this, and it instantly communicates to her. Okay, you have to understand that with women, especially when they're seeing a cool guy or a high status guy, women automatically assume that he has many, many options. And if someone doesn't tell them what the thing is, women automatically assume that it's the highest status possible solution. Okay, it's always the highest status possible solution. That's just what they assume. So she's thought about fucking you, and she sees you as a high status guy, and she gets this wrong text from you. She's going to assume that that means you're meeting a girl that you've been fucking on a regular basis, because it's the usual meeting place. You're going to be meeting her in an hour to have sex. And it's secretive, and no one knows, and she obviously doesn't know, and she's on the outside looking in, and there's other girls who want you, who are fucking you, who are doing it secretly. Maybe it's a girl with a boyfriend, whatever it is. Okay? It's going to get her thinking a ton. So all those little thoughts she might have had about fucking you before, it's like they get, injected with steroids, and then she starts thinking about them all the time. Okay, the key is that you're very subtle with this. So if she hits you back and says, like, what are you talking about? You keep it super short. You don't push it at all. She says, what do you mean? You go, oh, my bad, wrong text. Like, no, that's the most you want to say about that. Even less is better. Okay, never bring it up again. So let it do the work for you. Because remember, let her keep concluding it on her own. Do not tell her anything. Keep it as super fucking short as possible. Subtlety, don't even mention it the next time. Nothing. Moving on. Sex plant number 4. The for sure, maybe. Okay? So imagine that you are talking with a girl, and you guys are like bantering and flirting. Maybe you're HVSTing, you're super high status, you're leaning back, you're loving yourself, you're loving life, you're talking about what you want to talk about, you're doing what you want to do, you're having your fun, you're self-entertaining. It's fucking beautiful. You're representing Team Capital just like everyone, all the fucking badasses out there already do. It's fucking beautiful. And someone walks up to you guys and asks the question, what are you guys talking about? Okay, well, obviously people don't do this all the time. It might happen to you once a month or so. But if you can get it down so when anyone ever asks you this question, you have the line ready to go and it's just sitting there waiting at the tip of your tongue, it's fucking money, okay? It's fucking money. I love this one. So if someone walks up and says, what are you guys talking about right now? All you say is, oh, she just asked me to have sex, but I told her I'd have to think about it. Boom. You let it sit there, okay? So what's going to happen is, obviously this is a huge sexual challenge for her, but she has to picture it in her mind also, okay? So person or girl or guy says, what are you guys talking about? She says, oh, she just asked me to imagine what it'd be like to have sex with her. She just asked me to have sex with her. And you got to pause right after that for a second, so it kind of like that seed is planted, it sticks there. Oh, she just asked me she just asked me to have sex with her, but I told her I'd have to think about it. Just like that, okay? So now obviously she's gonna like push you and hit you and laugh, and it's like beautiful. Now you're like sexual challenge to her. As we know, girls usually don't walk away from a sexual challenge; they actually run towards it. But you just got to make sure that you have this down when it comes, okay? Because it is going to come. So let's just picture it right now. Imagine that moment right now. Imagine that you are in conversation with that girl. Imagine that you're leaning back, you're chill, you're super high status, you're fucking cool, you're talking about what you want to talk about, you're doing what you want to do, you're being free flowing, you're loving yourself, you're totally unattached, you're just free. It feels amazing, and she's giggling. She's giving you those eyes. She can't believe it. She's challenging you. She's biting back. There's tons of banter. The tension, the heat, that ball of energy between you guys is rising. It's almost combative. It's beautiful. And then someone walks up and says, what are you guys talking about? And you slowly, casually, calmly turn to that person and you just say, oh, she just asked me if I'd have sex with her, and I told her I'd have to think about it. And then you calmly look back, and you don't even notice it, how amazing what you just said was, because you take it away. It's not even a big deal to you. Lines like that pop out of your mouth all the time. It's fucking beautiful, though, because instantly she goes, oh, she pushes you, and she gives you those eyes looking at you like, who do you think you are? You're going to fuck me. Watch what I do. And the guy who came up and asked you that can't believe it, and there's that tension between you guys, and you just, you give her the eyes back like, yeah, we'll see. Beautiful. I can't wait for you to do it. So, sex plant number 5, the sex pistol. All right, so simply use these 4 words all the time. Okay, use them all the fucking time in conversation, in passing conversation, and don't make a big deal out of them. Just you're a sexual dude. You just use language like this. This is just how you like to describe your shit, because you have a lot of sex. Sex is constantly on your mind. You're great at sex. You love everything about it. So of course, words like these happen to emanate from that beautiful mouth of yours. Here are the words. Number one, penetrate. For instance, I can talk about, a high status man penetrates the fucking world. He looks at that world as like a giant gaping hole, and he penetrates it fucking hard, and he's on his path, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, he penetrates the world. Great little phrase to use all the time right there. Second one is come. Now this one, if you're like a speed seduction NLP guy, you might try and like use this word subtly all the time. Like, hey, what would it feel like if you came by my house about 3 p.m. today? Or asking a question like that, like some bullshit like that, okay? I, on the other hand, I like to be blunt. I like to be upfront. I just like to fucking like let it be known. I think it's hilarious. I think when you can communicate to the girl that you're not just having a normal conversation, but you're doing this to entertain yourself, I think it comes across as a lot more powerfully attractive to her. So, here's how I NLP the word come, okay? I'm in conversation with a girl. I don't do this all the time. I do it sparingly, but when I do, it's very, very funny to myself. And usually it's the response I want from the girl, but I'll talk to a girl, maybe we're making plans or something, and I'll say, okay, so what time do you think you're going to come tomorrow? A little smirk on my face. Like, I clearly, obviously just put a lot of emphasis on the word come, and I'll just smirk. I won't even say anything about it. What time do you think you're going to come tomorrow? And she'll answer the question or whatever, and she's like giggling or whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'll expect you to come at about 3 p.m., and I know you're really looking forward to coming at that time because, it's going to be fun. Just like 3 or 4 times, just like put tons of emphasis on it. Very funny shit. My main thrust. Obviously, the word thrust is highly associated with one activity in the world. I like to describe, instead of saying my intention or my reason for doing it or the thing I wanted, or really just to replace my intention or any iteration of that, is to simply say, my main thrust was, right? The main thrust of my creed was to create a fucking army of 1,000,000 fucking badasses getting what they want, when they want, with who they want on Team Capital. And hey, I succeeded. Okay, like that would be, your mission. My main thrust is this. Okay, but you describe it as thrust instead of mission or my intention or whatever, and she thinks sex. Instantly, you say the word thrust, she thinks sex. And also, craving is a really good one. So, for instance, let's say you're driving a girl and you guys are trying to figure out where to go to dinner. Simply, instead of using the word want from now on, just replace it with crave. So, instead of saying, hey, what do you want for dinner? Simply say, what are you craving? A little smirking. What are you craving for dinner right now? What are you craving right now? So, simply replace that word, and it's just obviously got much more sexual connotations, consciously and even more importantly, subconsciously. Sex plant number 6. Straw blow. You gotta say it like that. Straw blow. Straw blow. Self-entertaining right now. So, let's continue. You simply say to a girl, and this stuff is like fucking crack to girls, by the way. It's not in conversation crack, but it basically works the same way. This is just fucking crack to girls. If you tell a girl like that there's some social rule that people are talking about, she's gonna want to know about it. Okay? That's like a general rule. If there's any like big social thing that a large group of human beings, which of course is like a social thing, think or believe, she's going to want to know about it. So, especially when it's related to sex. If you get a large group of social, like a huge social dynamic and it's sexual related, every single girl will be immensely interested in that topic. It's crack to her. So, you simply say something like, a friend was telling me that he read in this magazine that how a girl uses her straw, it actually says a lot about how she gives head. Okay? Now, one thing I want to point out before we get any deeper here is simply starting off a sentence with, it's called a double bind in NLP, but by me saying, a friend was telling me that he read in this magazine that how a girl uses her straw says a lot about how she gives head. Sorry, I'm burped at the same time. But by basically, when you, like I said before, where was it? The loophole of the female mind. Remember that? When you start telling a story, they instantly go into trance, they have to picture it themselves. And then it feels like she concluded it on her own because you're just telling a story, and then she's picturing it in her mind. She feels like she concluded it. She drew it in her head. When you go into a story, like a friend was telling me that he read in this magazine, that's like one level of trance. But if you can actually make it 2 levels before you get to the story, it can go even a little bit deeper. And it can really feel like she's the one who drew that picture in her head or really concluded it. So if you say, a friend was telling me how he read in this magazine that how a girl uses her straw, it says a lot about how she gives head. So that's just a really good way to kind of like bring it up. And You say it in the weather tone, of course, right? Anytime you're talking about sex, you say, like, you're just talking about the weather. You know, it was really sunny today. You give really good head. You know, it was, like, really windy today. I like how you suck my dick. Same tone, okay? Now, you can say this one, or you can say, you know, a banana. Like, a friend was telling me that he read in a magazine that how a girl eats her banana is actually says a lot about how she gives head. So if a girl's ever eating a banana in front of you, just put that trigger in right now. She's eating banana, boom, I'm going to tell her that. You know, a friend was telling me he read in a magazine that how a girl eats a banana is actually says a lot about how she gives head. And what you do is you're just simply going to discuss this. Like, there's not really any, like, super content you need. You just discuss this little funny rule. Like, you know, if she really puts her mouth in the straw, it means she uses a lot of mouth. If she's, like, just, like, uses her teeth on the straw, like, you know, you got to bite her there. You got to be careful with that one. Discuss it. Have some fun with it. Totally playful, nonchalant, indifferent, detached, self-amusing conversation. And then at a high laughter point, okay, at a point where you guys are discussing this and you're both laughing, at a high point, you're simply going to say, you got to do it at the high point. You take it away. You always take it away at the high point. You leave them wanting more. So we're laughing about it, and I'm telling her, but, like, you got to be careful. Like, you see bite marks on a girl's straw, like, you know you got to bite her there, and she is not allowed to suck my dick. And she starts laughing. At that high point, you simply say, okay, anyways, it's enough. Like, seriously, stop making me imagine you doing that right now. Like, seriously, you, like, such a dirty mind. I don't even know how we're talking about blowjobs. Like, what the fuck? You're such a dirty mind. Get your mind out of the gutter. Let's continue with our normal conversation. And then you just go back to a normal subject, whatever. But all you're doing is you're taking it away, and you say, stop making me imagine doing that right now. So this is like, you get this picture of her giving you head. Stop making me imagine you doing that right now. That's seriously not fair. You have such a dirty mind. Like, stop. You're going to get me all worked up. I hate you. Stop. Let's continue. Let's go back to normal. Normal, all right, politically correct, safe conversation, okay? Because seriously, you need to stop making me think about you giving head. Because it's not cool. So you make her imagine you giving her head, she giving you head, excuse me, and then you take it away. This is like my ultimate sexual turn-on formula, right? You blame it on her. You make her picture it in her head, and then you take it away. Stop making me imagine stop making me imagine you doing that right now. Stop making me imagine you giving head right now. Seriously, you have such a dirty mind. How do we even start talking about that? Why do you always talk about blowjobs? You always talk about blowjobs. You always make me think about you giving blowjobs. It's seriously not fair. It's not cool. I don't like it. I don't even want it, all right? Stop it. Let's go talk about something more interesting, like, I don't know, green apples and the rate at which they grow in the fall, all right? Let's have some fun with it. Okay, the point is, you say the thing. A friend was telling me, you read in a magazine, that how a girl uses her straw actually says a lot about how she gives head. You discuss it, you have fun. At that high laughter point, you take it away and you say, you know, seriously, stop making me imagine you doing that right now. It's seriously not cool. You have such a dirty mind. How did we even start talking about blowjobs? Whatever. Anyways, boom, change the subject, take it away. Now she's thought about it, now you've taken it away. And the key is just her thinking about it is good, and it's got that picture there, but when you take it away from her, that creates the desire to get that picture back. And the only way for her to get that picture back is either A, start talking about it, or B, do it. Sex plant number 7, our final one, the bright red rose. Okay, now this works with the same way that we talked about in number 6. So you start off, you can do it the same way with the double bind. You know, a friend was telling me he heard an expert on TV say that there's a tendency for girls who wear more lipstick to be better at head. And this is, again, one of those really funny ones, so you get to talking about sexual, but it's not like you brought it up. It's, you know, a friend was actually telling me that he watched this on TV. He heard this expert say that there's actually a tendency for girls who wear more lipstick to be better at head. And you talk about it freely, playfully, laid back, lean back, super high status, super charming, super chill, all good. Okay, and you guys discuss it, and then you're going to say this money line here. You know, it's like most girls don't even know the best position, like, for giving head. They want to do it with the guy lying down. My absolute favorite to get head is when I'm just, like, sitting back in a chair, my legs are open, she's, like, on her knees in front of me, and she's just, like, performing like a star. Like, she's loving every minute of the show. Like, that's the way that a girl should give head. And now stop talking all sexual with me. You're going to get me all worked up. Anyways, back to the apples in the fall. And you go change the subject to something boring or whatever it is, right? You take it away. So you make her picture it, and then you take it away. Now, this one's really good because she has to picture you getting head like a rock star, okay? She has to picture you sitting back in a chair. You pictured it in your mind probably when I just said it just now. And you don't even want to give me head. I don't even want head from you. But we're learning here, right? It's taking action. This is Kaizen. So when you say, most girls don't even know what the best position for giving head is. Like, they all think it's like the guy lying down and she's like on top of him. Like, no. Okay? No. Best way to get head. I fucking love it when I'm just like sitting back in a chair, legs are open, my head is like looking up at the sky, I'm like totally relaxed, and the girl's in front of me, she's like performing like a star super enthusiastically, and we're both like totally into the movement, like both loving every moment of it. That's the way you give head. Now, seriously, stop talking about sexual with me because you're going to get me all worked up. Anyways, apples green in the fall. Continue. And you go back to the thing. So you make her imagine it, and then you take it away, which sparks all kinds of desire in her. So, those were the 7 sexual plants. I'm sure you saw how fucking awesome they all are. I'm sure you're like, I want to use all of them all the time. Here's my advice. Make a plan now to use at least one of them today. Don't use all of them. You're going to get overwhelmed. Team Capital, we fucking kick ass. We don't get overwhelmed. We plan shit out. We're men with plans, with the best plans, with the most strategic plans. And here it is. Make a plan now to use at least just one of them today. Just use one of them. The faster you put it into action, the faster it's going to click with you, and then you can get on to the next one. So make a plan to just use at least one of these today. So decide what that's going to be. And once you have that, pick your favorite 2 other ones, let's say, and master them first to unconscious competence. Now, unconscious competence simply means that you do them naturally without even thinking about it. That's all it means. So once you do the first one today and you use it, it's going to become basically unconsciously competent to you that quickly. That's how quickly you can learn and start using this shit. It doesn't take a lot. It's super fucking easy. You can be fucking hot bitches all the time whenever you want if you start using this shit. And I know you will because you're on Team Capital, and that means you take action. It means you bet on yourself. It means you're constantly investing in yourself and you put into action the genius that you learn here in our amazing environment. So, make a plan, use at least one today. Pick your favorite 2 or 3 other ones and master them to unconscious competence. Now you got 2 or 3 totally in your repertoire you can pull out at any time. Then you can add the other ones as you go. All right, so that is sex planting. You are now a sex planter in addition to being a very, very handsome, charming, good-looking, action-taking, self-investing, Team Capital badass. I appreciate you fucking working on yourself, dude. For real, for real, for real. I'm going to get back to doing the same for me. Thanks again. Peace, dude.